And when did you first see Captain Fraker that day?
Just before lunch.
And what were the circumstances of that meeting?
He stormed out of the lieutenant's office and told me that he was going to need my old case files. Said I should stay available for interviews.
Meaning what?
IAB pulls your cases and says to gear up for interviews, it means you're under investigation.
And did you see the defendant later that afternoon?
Yes. I was in the bathroom. Captain Fraker followed me in, accused me of excessive force in a 3-year-old case, said he'd have my shield.
What was his demeanor like at the time, Detective?
Agitated, loud, generally behaving like a hothead.
Detective, when did you first meet the defendant?
A couple of years ago.
And what were the circumstances of that meeting?
He was investigating Lieutenant Rodriguez for supposedly failing to report a bribe attempt.
And did you speak with the defendant about that investigation?
Yes. I knew the charges had no basis, and I was concerned that Captain Fraker was persecuting the lieutenant for personal reasons. So we had a man-to-man talk.
And what was the substance of that talk?
I had received reliable information that Captain Fraker believed that Lieutenant Rodriguez reported him to IAB back when they were both in uniform. I told him the lieutenant never did that and that he was taking hostilities too far.
What did the defendant say?
He played dumb, but my feeling was that Fraker was a dirty cop on a mission, and he couldn't be reasoned with.
Objection, move to strike. Detective Sipowicz's feelings are irrelevant to the case.
Sustained.
Detective, what did you say to Captain Fraker?
I said if he didn't back off the lieutenant, I was going to tell his wife the truth about him sleeping with the subordinate.
And after that discussion, how would you describe the defendant's behavior toward the squad?
Same as before. Hostile, coming by all the time, investigating everyone for everything. Like bringing down the squad was his full-time job.
And to your knowledge, anything come of his investigations?
Nothing.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Detective. Is it fair to say you don't like Captain Fraker?
There's a lot of bosses I don't like.
That a yes, Detective?
Yes.
Fair to say you don't like IAB?
I got nothing against honest cops who do their job.
But as a general matter, you don't look forward to interactions with IAB.
No cop does.
In fact, you have a well-earned reputation for being an antagonist of IAB, right?
Objection.
Sustained. You've made your point, Mr. Sinclair. Move on.
You testified that earlier that day, Captain Fraker said he was investigating you, right?
Yes.
You're being investigated now?
No.
So Captain Fraker getting put away suits you just fine, right?
Objection.
Goes to bias.
Sustained. Move on.
Let's talk about your man-to-man conversation with Captain Fraker. Just so I don't misunderstand, Detective. Are you telling us that you threatened to expose Captain Fraker's affair with a subordinate if he didn't back off your CO?
I wouldn't call it a threat.
What would you call it?
We reached a mutual understanding that a trumped-up investigation was in no one's best interest.
Meaning you blackmailed him and he succumbed.
You can call it what you want. I put a stop to a phony investigation of a good cop, and I'd do it again.
So you have no problem committing a crime to get what you want?
Objection. Detective Sipowicz hasn't been charged or convicted of anything.
Sustained.
You make a habit of blackmailing superior officers or just the ones who are investigating your friends?
Objection.
Sustained.
He's a bad cop doing a bad thing.
You blackmailed a superior officer who had you under investigation, a man you admitted you don't like. And we're supposed to take your testimony at face value?
Your Honor.
He's a bad cop.
Enough, Mr.
He tried to
Sinclair.
murder my boss.
And you're getting your revenge now, aren't you?
This is the first day of trial, and I'm inclined to give counsel some leeway. But let me be clear. If I sustain an objection and you continue heading down the same path, you do so at your peril. Is that understood, Mr. Sinclair?
Yes, Your Honor. I have nothing further for this witness. Thank you, Detective.
Witness is excused.
If you were to ask me 10 years ago if Sinclair could have sunk any lower than the hairless rat he already was.
So, you're done. I got a sitter. Let's go get something to eat.
You're half waiting for his beady eyes to glow red and a scaly tail to whip out of his slacks.
You would have been disappointed if he was any different.
Right now, I'll bet he's in his office on one of them wheels and going round and round, gnawing on a food pellet.
Come on. I got reservations at San Canelli's. Don't worry.
When it's my ass on the line, you know, I'll take what's coming. But when they go through me to hurt somebody else...
This is the first day of the trial. There's still a long way to go.
You got to me pretty good.
Andy, this doesn't hinge on you.
I hope not, because if it does, Rodriguez is sunk.
Let's eat. Go home. Just forget about stuff we got no control over.
You weren't here, I'd be in a bar right now. I swear to God.
I am here.